Hi everyone, here are the Group 1 presentation. Sensation, sensory receptors, and general senses. Nice day to all of you. I'm Rain Biancayang, and today we're going to talk about and learn more about how our senses function. But first, allow me to present the people who will be assisting me in talking to you about how our senses function. They are
Yana Austria,
Irene Bantilan.
Johnson Bella.
Aaron Joseph Escalona. For today's discussion, let's first talk about sensation. Sensation. Sensation is the ability of the brain to detect and sense internal and external information about the environment and the body. It is the process commenced by stimulating sensory receptors, and perception is conscious awareness of those stimuli. Primary senses were recognized as sight, smell, taste, hearing, and touch. All of these senses require one of fundamental sensory capacities or sensory receptors such as mechanoreceptors, chemoreceptors, photoreceptors, thermoreceptors, and nociceptors. Now, let's talk about how this receptor works, and that will be discussed by Miss Bantilan and Miss Austria.
So when we say mechanoreceptors, it is a type of sensory receptor responsible for detecting mechanical stimuli or mechanical changes in the environment. Mechanoreceptors are found in various parts of the body, including the skin, muscles, tendons, and inner ear. So mechanoreceptors play a crucial role in sensations of touch, pressure, vibration, and proprioceptions. Proprioception is the sense of body position and movement, such as bending or stretching. So for example, 'di ba pag yung mosquito, pag dumadapo sila sa arm natin, 'di ba sobrang gaan lang ng mosquito? Pero nararamdaman pa rin natin yung pagdapo niya because it still stimulates mechanoreceptor in that particular area of your arm. So kaya pag may dumadapong mosquito sa balat natin, nararamdaman natin agad pag may dumadapo dahil yun sa Merkel cell. Now, when we say chemoreceptors, it is response to changes in the chemical compositions of their environment. They are responsible for detecting various chemical substances, including those in the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the fluids within our bodies. And this kind of receptor, it plays a major role in our sense of taste and smell. It senses chemical changes, mainly in the chemical compositions of blood. Example niya is yung ano, pag feeling natin ng nahihirapan tayong makahinga or hindi tayo makahinga. Then next is photoreceptors. When we say photoreceptors, it is the sensory receptors specialized for detecting light and are essential for the sensation of vision. They come in two main types, the rods and cones, each with specific functions in the visual system. So photoreceptor, it converts light into electrical signals that send through our optic nerve to our brain to process. So example niya, tuwing gigising ka sa umaga, di ba pag umaga maliwanag? So that's when the photoreceptors occur and send to your brain. Then your brain process the electrical signal. That's when you perceive na, umaga na. The next is
the fourth one is thermoreceptors. Thermoreceptors are sensory receptors that can track temperature changes. They are located in the skin, hypothalamus, and other areas of the body and aid in our ability to detect and react to the environmental temperature changes. Sensory neurons called thermoceptors may detect changes in temperature. They are essential to our capacity to detect hot and cold stimuli. For example, the cube symbolizes the feeling of cold, which when touch triggers the activation of cold thermoreceptors. The hot coffee mug represents the heat feeling that occurs when one holds a hot object, can causing hot thermoreceptors to fire. And the last one is nociceptors. A nociceptor is a type of sensory neuron that reacts to potentially harmful stimuli by sending signals to the brain and spinal cord, indicating that there is a possible threat. The word pain receptor comes from the Latin nocere, which means to harm or hurt. This sensory receptor is responsible for detecting painful or potentially harmful stimuli. For example, when you accidentally step on a thumbtacks, the mechanical pressure on your skin activates the nociceptors. These specialized sensory receptors detect potentially damaging stimuli such as sharp objects penetrating the skin and generate electrical signals. These signals nagtatravel sa nerve fibers to the spinal cord and to the brain, where they are interpreted as pain, prompting you to withdraw your foot from the source of discomfort.
Now that they discussed the sensation and types sensory receptors, let's move to general senses. So, the general senses has receptors distributed over a large part of the body. They are divided into two groups, the somatic and visceral senses. So, when we talk about somatic senses provide sensory information about the body and the environment. From the word soma means body, somatics is a sensory information from the skin, muscles, bones, and joints. It comes from the receptor of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. So, and these senses include touch, pressure, pain, temperature, and proprioception. So, can I call Mr. Bella and Mr. Santos to discuss the types of somatic senses?
Next one is temperature. Temperature monitor the temperature of the body. Additionally, to providing information regarding painful, itchy, and sticky stimuli, the somatosensory system keeps an eye on body temperature as well as the temperatures of surrounding objects. The last type of somatic senses is proprioception, the ability to sense the position of our body parts. Proprioception is the awareness of the body in space in a relation of environment and ourselves. It includes our brain knowing the position of our joints, the position of our body, and how we interact in the environment without any usual feedback. So it is the reason we can walk, type, or dress without looking at what you're doing. Because proprioception is a sensory feedback coming from many tissues from body going to the brain.
So, now that somatic senses discussed, let's now discuss the other type of general senses, the visceral senses. Next. So, visceral pain, which is a type of general sensation, refers to the discomfort or pain that originates from the internal organs of the body. These can include sensations like cramping, aching, or pressure in the abdomen or chest. It's important to note that visceral pain may not be as precisely localized as other types of pain and can sometimes be felt in areas different from where the problem originates. So, ang visceral pain is isa siyang uri ng sakit na nagmumula sa mga internal organs ng katawan natin. So, tulad ng puso, sikmura, or kidney. So, ito ay kadalasang nagmumula sa loob ng katawan natin. Kaya madalas hindi ito masyadong natutukoy agad kung saan yung exact location. So, example of visceral pain is the discomfort caused by kidney stones. So, kapag meron kang kidney stones, you might feel a sharp or cramping pain in your lower back or side. So, yung pain is nag-originate siya from the kidneys, but it can radiate down to your lower abdomen and even into your groin area. So, Isa ito sa classic case of visceral pain because the sensation comes from inside the body and the pain can be felt in various locations.
Next is pain. When we say pain, it's about characterized by a group of unpleasant perceptual and emotional experiences. There are two types of pain sensation. Number one, localized sharp pricking or cutting pain resulting from rapidly conducted actions potential. And number two, diffuse burning or aching pain resulting from action potentials that are prograded. So, ang pain is nahahati siya sa two groups. The unpleasant perceptual, which is it is defined by adjectives that are not specifically related to a sensory experience, such as nagging, uncomfortable, or excruciating coincidence with adverse impulse to terminate the nauseous stimuli, while the emotional experience or emotional pain is what you get when you feel tough emotions. Emotional distress can be brought on by number of things such as grief, loss, trauma, stress, or toxic relationships. The mind and body are marked by these experiences. Now, our perception of pain location differs depending on the types of receptors. It Superficial pain sensation is in the skin are highly localized as a result of the stimulating stimulation of pain receptors and tactile receptors. Deep or visceral pain naman, sensations are not highly localized because of the absence of tactile receptors in the deeper structures. Visceral pain stimuli are normally perceived as diffuse pain. So, ang example ng superficial pain, ito yung kapag nakat mo yung lips mo. While yung deep or visceral pain, ito yung bladder pain, endometriosis, irritable bowel syndrome, and prostate pain are few of example of visceral pain.
Perception of pain can be disrupted through anesthesia, the local anesthesia and the general anesthesia. When we say local anesthesia, it is a frequently used for simple procedures wherein a tiny portion of the body is numb while you remain completely conscious. For example, mending a fractured bone, saving a severe wound, or doing skin or breast biopsy, while the general anesthesia, which is frequently used for more complicated surgeries, renders you completely asleep, ignorant of what is being done.
Now, let's talk about referred pain. Referred pain is thought to begin in a body part that is not that the thing that triggered the suffering. Most frequently, we notice referred pain when internal organs or other deeper structures are damaged or irritated. As a result of sensory neurons from the location where the pain is referred, as well as the ascending neurons in the same deeper visceral region where the pain stimulation organates are joined by the same neuron spinal cord. The two the two sources are indistinguishable to the brain of pain stimuli and the painful experience is most frequently discussed. Skin and other surface structures are innervated. To delve deeper about referred pain is when you have an injury in one area of your body but feel pain somewhere else. This happens because all the nerves in your body are part of a huge connected network. For example, you feel the symptoms of brain freeze in your head even though the intense cold just hits your mouth and throat.
Every human receives the same sensory information. All humans, however, have distinct brains. As a result, different people have varied perceptions of the same experiences. Perception vary, but sensations remain the same. So, thank you everyone for listening. We hope that you enjoy and learn something about what we discussed today.